sponsored by the IACFSME. The search for, or the investigation of infectious agents as either triggering factors or causes of CFS was very much alive, and that new technologies are helping us understand why some of the earlier investigations that occurred in the late 80s and early 90s may not have been as fruitful as we might have hoped. But with some of the new technologies and techniques that are available to understand how these various agents and pathogens might affect all the body systems, thinking back to the visible human, I think we're going to learn a lot more in the next few years than we have in the past 20 about the role that infectious agents play in both the onset of CFS and how people's symptoms unfold over time.
Yeah, I think given going back to or thinking about that slide that I showed with all the different variety of pathogens, whether they be viral or bacterial, that can actually trigger CFS, it seems to me that it's more the way that our body responds to that infection and either does away with it or keeps it in check. Remember, most people have Epstein-Barr virus. Most people have herpes viruses, and we live with those for our life. Why is it that some people cannot tolerate that infection or do not deal with that infection properly? What is it about an individual that allows some of these viruses to either become reactivated or active again in order to be able to cause disease? So I think the key is going to be, again, having diagnostic assessments or markers that are not only pathogen specific but combined aspects of the immune response and some of the clinical aspects in order to be able to identify what is the most effective treatment or intervention for a particular individual. It has to be personalized. It really does have to boil down to an individual and what is going on in that individual at the molecular level.
Many of the now 161 questions we've gotten are about individual symptoms that individuals may experience and how to get those tested for, like the deficiencies in short working memory, in immune cell communication, and in you know, some of the observations and reports that Suzanne outlined in her talk. And unfortunately, none of those, or few of them, are available at a clinical level. You can't walk into your internist's office and say, I want the test for how well my immune cells are communicating. Those are all still at the research level and on, let's see, how do you say it, studying CFS at the group level. So the differences are not necessarily specific to an individual. They found that the CFS patients as a group were different from the healthy patients as a group, but per individual, we're not at that point yet where those tests would be meaningful in terms of knowing which treatments to use or which you know, therapies to approach, and that's where we want to go. That was the last set of slides, of taking all of what we've discovered in terms of research and the theoretical and understanding the underpinnings of this illness and translating those into more effective means of both diagnosing and understanding what's going on in each of you as individuals, and then targeting treatment in a more appropriate way so that you don't have to scan the internet and try every single drug that is listed as being potentially helpful in CFS, that you and your physician or healthcare professional working together have some means by which to sort through those things and know in advance which are going to be most effective for you and your set of symptoms. Anything to add to that?
No, that's excellent. She does a great job of answering these questions. She's a good listener.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. questions about, again, the presentation itself and whether you can download it, whether you can copy certain slides, where to find these things, we have the ability through this software to communicate back to all of you who've participated today, and hopefully in the next few days when we're able to get this presentation uploaded to our website, you will be among the first to know that. And we will also be sending out the top 10 advances with Dr. Komaroff's handsome picture on it as a thank you for participating. So you know you will get that one document as well as hopefully the access to the whole presentation.
And we can go through the questions too, can't we?
We're actually beyond the time, and I'm glad they haven't kicked us off, but we're only slotted for a 1 hour period, and we've exceeded that, and we know that energy is an issue even if you're sitting at home in front of a computer for many of you. Let me just backtrack to, bear with us a second while we look through these questions. There were a couple people who had asked about CFS and fibromyalgia and what the differences are. I think depending on who you ask is the answer you'll get to that question. I think when they are studied according to their criteria, there have been many studies showing quite different findings between the two populations. Particularly some of the newer genomic studies have been able to differentiate